division.
I'm so head and shoulders above all these other contenders to where I can win the fight any way that I choose.
Usman may be able to finish this.
Look like a tap there.
That's it.
Kamaru Usman. How about it?
Nobody can stop me.
At UFC 258, Usman will face a contender with intimate knowledge of the champion's method. Former teammate Gilbert Burns.
I know his game. I know his strength, his weakness. I know clear what I have to do to beat Kamaru February 13th.
This is a man that will do anything to become champion of the world. Torino Burns by submission.
And on February 13th in Las Vegas, they will go toe-to-toe for the welterweight belt.
Let's see who the real gangster is, baby. Massive knockdown. Gilbert Torino Burns. I have a big right hand right here. Let's do it. And stop. Kamaru Usman.
I'm the best welterweight on the planet right now.
That is how you finish a fight as a champion.
Because I'm a problem.
The co-main event will feature Contender Series product Macy Barber.
She's a killer.
Returns to face Mexico's Alexa Grasso.
This young lady has star power to go with a lot of skill.
Also on the card will be middleweight finishers Gastelum
Oh, there it is.
and Ian Heinisch.
Oh, the hurricane just unloaded here.
But before the octagon rises again, first, get ready
That's a wonderful tomorrow.
for UFC 258.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
What's up, guys? This is going to be the full card breakdown for UFC 258, Usman versus Burns. It's coming up tonight, 7 o'clock start time for the prelims. I wasn't going to put out a video for this one. I am sick, but it hasn't been the start that I wanted to the year. This is a pay-per-view, so I did want to make a video. I'm going to be doing a full review of all the cards that we've had so far. I'm going to put it in a tips and strategies video. So as soon as I'm feeling better, maybe even midway through the week, I'll drop that video. There's going to be a lot of good tips, more so things on how to bounce back and how I structure my bets at the beginning of the quarter. So if you're interested in that, that'll be out later this week. First fight of the night, we got Robertson and Maverick. So this is a tough one to call because Maverick really hasn't had a lot of cage time in the UFC. She did look good in her debut. She's decent on the feet. She's strong. Good grappler as well, but the advantage there definitely goes to Robertson. So Maverick's probably going to look to keep it on the feet and avoid that submission or taking it to where Jillian's strengths are on the mat. So I could see this one playing out on the feet. I do think that Maverick does have the advantage standing up, but Robertson's really tough. She could make it a gritty fight, and as the fight progresses, if she is able to get it to the mat, or if Maverick goes for that takedown, it's going to be dangerous for her. Robertson's really nasty when it comes to the submission, so it is a tough one to call. I don't think that Robertson should have been as big of a dog as she was. Now the line's getting closer to a pick'em. I'm going to be looking at this one for a live bet. I think that it's going to be, early on in the fight, we'll tell the way this one's going to play out. And I will do the Twitter live betting again for this event. A lot of times, I don't do a lot of live bets. I'm looking for lines that are way off. Sometimes you'll see, a fighter get an early takedown and the opponent become a big underdog. Just some lines that aren't really justified. Those are the ones I really target, but there will be a few on this card that, I'm just waiting to see how it plays out. So if you're interested in that, I'll put up the Twitter on the screen here. But I'm going to go with Robertson as the dog. I think at some point in the fight, she might be able to find a submission. But it is a close fight. I'm looking forward to that one to start the card out. Then we got Gabe Green and Philip Rowe. Now, I heard this fight might be off, but I'll still, pick the winner here. Gabe Green, he's really aggressive. He's a really tough guy. He's going to keep coming forward. He fought Daniel Rodriguez in his last fight. I did watch that one again. And, he just likes to put the pressure on. Daniel Rodriguez was able to outclass him on the feet, used his jab. And overall, just, better boxing. Philip Rowe, likes to use his range, but he's not really a fighter that I was overly impressed with. I mean, he pulled guard in one of the fights that I was watching against an opponent that, I didn't really think was any real threat on the feet. And I do think that Gabe Green, the significant size difference, though, with Philip Rowe at the weigh-ins did stand out. But Gabe Green might look to put the pressure on, tire out Philip Rowe, might be able to catch him with the shot. So it is a tough one to call. I'll go with Rowe just because of the fact he looks like he's in really good shape. He's a lot bigger. He looks like he has the skills that could win the fight. But the experience goes to Gabe Green. And, I think that it could be a really good fight. I'm going to say it goes over 1.5. But I'll go with Philip Rowe to get it done by decision. Next up, we got Ricky Simón and Brian Kelleher. So Brian Kelleher is the underdog a lot of times in his fights, and he's a significant dog in this fight. Ricky Simón, I do think he has the advantages, other than the fact that he is a little bit chinny. He has been caught by some big shots. Favor put him away early on in the fight, and I think that Brian Kelleher is one of the guys that has a lot of power in that division. A lot of the smaller guys, 145, don't really have that finishing ability. Brian Kelleher definitely does. He also has some really good cardio. So I don't write him off in this fight. I definitely think he has a good chance to win, either by catching Ricky Simón with a big shot, possibly early on, but even, as the fight progresses into the third round. Kelleher has the better cardio, so I wouldn't even be surprised to see a late finish. I lean to Ricky Simón by decision. But again, I think Brian Kelleher has a lot better chance than the odds say. So I'll go with Brian Kelleher by TKO. But this is a really good fight. There are some fights that I think it could replace on the main card. So, I am looking forward to that one. Next up, we got Chris Gutierrez and Andre Ewell. So Andre Ewell, not really overly impressed with a lot of his performances. I don't think he beat Jonathan Martinez. It was a split decision, but I think it was pretty clear Jonathan Martinez won that. It was actually in the Robberies of the Year category for the awards. I think it was Ariel Helwani and Cormier. So, I don't think he got the W in that one. Irwin Rivera was a split decision win, and previous to that, he lost to Marlon Vera. So, hasn't been, any dominant performances. Cardio's not that great. And, I think Gutierrez has the advantage in this fight. If he puts the pressure on, comes forward, and looks to test the cardio of Ewell, I do think that he can probably pick up a win in this fight. But Ewell has decent striking, right? He knows how to use his range, and of course he could be improving his cardio fight to fight. So another situation where I don't write him off, but more comfortable going with Gutierrez here. I'll say he gets it done by decision. Then we got Polyana Viana and Mallory Martin. So Polyana Viana, a couple of questionable performances from her. She lost to J.J. Aldridge, Hannah Cyphers, and Veronica Macedo back-to-back. So she was on a 3-fight losing streak, fighting for her job against Emily Whitmire, and she got it done by armbar in the first round. Previous to that, not the toughest competition. She did beat Amanda Ribas, though, early on in Ribas' career by TKO early in the fight. So she has that win under her belt. Mallory Martin, Hannah Cyphers clipped her early. Looked like she was going to get the finish, but Martin toughed it out, turned it around, and picked up a win in that fight. Previous to that, she lost to Viana Jandaroba. Jandaroba's really slick on the mat, so, no real shame in that. And then she was on a 5-fight win streak before that. So, looking at tape, I do think that Martin is, the tougher fighter. But Polyana Viana, I think she's going to come in shape. She's going to be hungry for a win here. This could be a good fight, but I'm going to go with Mallory Martin to get it done in this one. I'll say she gets it done by decision. Next up, we got Diego Lima and Bilal Muhammad. So Diego Lima has surprised me in a couple of his fights. I didn't think that he would beat Court McGee or Chad Laprise. So, he has got a couple wins that I didn't think that he would get. And he has some power in his hands when he connects. He is the brother of Douglas Lima, Bellator champion. He's a really talented guy. So they get in, good training year-round there. But I just think Belal Muhammad is a step above Diego Lima. I will be putting him as one of the parlay options. And I just think that he should be able to win the fight by decision, if not even a late finish. I think he's got a grappling advantage. Even though I do think that Diego Lima might have a slight advantage on the feet, I think Belal Muhammad, can hang on the feet and will most likely get it to the mat. So I'm going to go with Belal Muhammad here to get it done by submission in the second round. Next up, we got Rodolfo Vieira and Anthony Hernandez. So Rodolfo Vieira, top-level jiu-jitsu, 7-0. In his last fight, though, he did get rocked, and he was cut in that fight. And hadn't made it to the end of that round, he probably would have lost due to that cut. Saperbek Safarov, not the best fighter in the UFC by any means. But like I said, he was able to clip him. And I think that, the line is off. I think Vieira is slightly overrated. But if he gets a hold of Anthony Hernandez and he gets it to the mat, there's a good chance he will submit him. So if you are going to bet Vieira, I would say submission is the best way to go about it. But Anthony Hernandez has the potential to clip him. I just think he's out of his league as far as the grappling goes. I will go with Rodolfo Vieira to get it done by submission. But if Hernandez clips him on the feet or is able to stuff early takedowns, it could be a big upset. So, again, I'll go with Vieira, but it's another fight that I'm looking forward to. Then we got Julian Marquez and Maki Pitolo. So Julian Marquez, hasn't been the most active fighter. His last fight was against Alessio Di Chirico in 2018. So, there has been a big layoff. And, Maki Pitolo, he is a guy that's got a lot of power in his hands. He's going to come forward. He's there to fight. He has lost his last two, Impika Sanganaya and Darren Stewart. Stewart was able to get him in a guillotine in the first round and choke him out, but Pitolo did clip him early on in that fight. Impika Sanganaya got it done by decision. In that fight, he had his moments, but Kasanganay coasted to the decision in that one. So in this fight, I think that, if Marquez looks the way that he did previous to the layoff, with the size advantage that he has, he should be able to get it done. But, we've seen fighters coming back from big layoffs get clipped, and there has been some big upsets because of that. So I'm definitely not confident picking Marquez, but I'll go with Julian Marquez in this one by decision. Next up, we got Calvin Gastelum and Ian Heinisch. So Calvin Gastelum is a guy that I was high on in the past, but he is on a 3-fight losing streak. All of those guys are at the top of the division, though. He does have a lot of big names on his resume, but I feel like he has lost a step. He's not that old, though. I think he's only 29. So he's going to be hungry in this fight. I just don't think that he looked in his best shape at the weigh-ins either. Slight size advantage for Ian Heinisch. Heinisch has a couple losses on his record to guys like Omari Akhmadov, Derek Brunson, and back in 2017, Marcus Perez. But he does have a lot of big names on his resume as well. So I do think this is a competitive fight. I'm actually going to go with Ian Heinisch because I think that the line is off here. I think the line has Heinisch at plus 175, and I do think that's off. So I'm going to take him here to get it done by decision. I think it could be a really good fight. But again, I think that line's off. So Ian Heinisch by decision. Then we got the co-main event, Macy Barber and Alexa Grasso. So I'm not sure why this one is the co-main event. I think this could have been the main event of the prelims, maybe even to kick off the card. But not really sure why it's the co-main. I think Gastelum and Heinisch fit that spot a lot better. But, Macy Barber coming off that loss in her last fight to Roxanne Modafferi. Tough fight for her, but she does have some big wins on her record. Jillian Robertson, she got her out of there in the first round. Not easy to do. Even J.J. Aldridge is a tough fight. But I do think that Aldridge was winning before she got clipped. So this is one of those fights where I did go back and forth a little bit. Where the line was at, I thought it was pretty accurate. But now that Grasso, it's close to a pick'em, I like Grasso, and I think that it's a decent bet. Barber does have that power, so you can never write her off. especially at 125. There's not a lot of women that have that finishing ability at that weight class. I'm going to go with Grasso here. I think that she can probably pick up a decision, but it is a good fight. Another fight that I'm looking forward to. Then we got the main event, Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. So this is a really good fight. They built a pay-per-view around this. It's definitely not the most stacked card, but a lot of times what happens, when the fans overlook cards like this, they end up being some of the best cards, and I do think this one has the potential to be really good. I think Kamaru Usman, the way he's looked, he's been dominant in most of his performances. Gilbert Burns is on a really good streak himself. He's a talented guy. He's got power in his hands, really good grappling, some big wins on his record. But I have to say that Kamaru Usman, he's most likely going to push him up against the cage, look to grind out another decision here, possibly even a late finish. He did take out Covington with some big shots late. I think that stoppage was a little bit early, even though he was pretty badly rocked. I mean, he had hold of him, and, he wasn't fully out of there. But I think in this fight, more likely to go to decision, but I think it could even be a 50-45 situation. I'm going to go with Kamaru Usman to get it done by decision. Another parlay option there. And it's a fight that I'm really looking forward to. I mean, Kamaru Usman, in the 5th round, sometimes he looks like he did in the first. It's one of those guys, I've even questioned juice just because he eats huge shots, doesn't look like they affect him at all, walks forward the entire fight, and like I said, cardio doesn't drop. He looks the same in the first as he does in the 5th. So going to go with Kamaru Usman by decision in this one. Really looking forward to it. I'll pull up the bets. So we got the parlay with Kamaru Usman and Bilal Muhammad. Now this was a 1.7 or closer even to 1.75, 1.8 earlier in the week, or even maybe late last week. But, it was a parlay that I liked. Also, Alexa Grasso, now that it's at pick'em odds. Ian Heinisch, I think that line's off, so bet on him as well. So there are a few bets there, some over-unders as well. The over-unders have been doing really well, but, just not off to the start that I wanted. So we have about 6 weeks until the end of the quarter. Hopefully turn it around on this card. And like I said, I'll be talking about it, breaking down those cards, and going over, how I structure my bets at the beginning of the quarter on that tips and strategies video. And again, I'll probably be giving out some live bets on Twitter. There are some fights that I just want to see how they play out early. So good luck to you guys. Let me know who you have. Really looking forward to this one. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.